The Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, FinCEN, has hired its first chief digital currency advisor. Pretty interesting appointment here. This is Michele Korver, who worked for the Department of Justice for a number of years as a counsel doing digital asset stuff at that agency. This to me represents sort of the latest sign that FinCEN is taking crypto a bit more seriously these days, and potentially adds a bit of nuance to its ranks. This is someone who wrote, interestingly, for the Department of Justice's journal earlier this year, sort of tracking the historical evolution of crypto from the dark web to now becoming less pronounced feature of the cryptocurrency world. I'm going to throw this to you, Will. I know on the regulation front, it's been a while since we've delved into some of these regulatory hires. Are we going to see this from more agencies in DC? Is this going to become sort of like par for the course, or what's your take on how FinCEN is approaching crypto lately?
Yeah, so just kind of stepping back, like my initial impression from like tracking regulator news, and maybe it's just like the negative hits on the back of my brain. Is I always see like FinCEN hiring people and like enforcement agencies are always hiring people, but there's not a lot of people doing like the regulatory work to make frameworks. Like, where is the IRS guidance for taxes? That would be pretty useful. Instead, they're just hiring up blockchain analytic firms, and they've even like tapped a lot of these firms. I think you probably have better details on that, but I think they're working with chain analysis and stuff like that to be able to track people who are using crypto. And there was reports earlier, I think in like April, when Kraken was having to divulge information on anyone who transacted over $20,000 on their platform. So I just don't understand maybe it's just because of how the nature of the federal government works when it comes to enforcement. Like every branch has its own tasks. And maybe FinCEN is like up to its duties a little bit more than the IRS or other agencies. But yeah, I think we're just going to keep seeing this more. Just to get to your question, like we're going to keep seeing this more and more and more. Like blockchain and all that good stuff isn't going away. Obviously, people are taking it more seriously, and we're just going to keep seeing more of these hires. Naomi, what do you think about these hirings? Are you pro FinCEN? Like, if FinCEN had to exist, would you be okay with them hiring people like this crypto czar who obviously has his foot in the space? Like, if you had to choose your pick for someone who had been in this position.
You are trying your hardest to frame this in a way where I might conceivably be okay with them appointing a crypto czar. And I applaud your efforts, Will, but that's not even it's not even
So
going to come
close.
close. I mean, they're literally hiring a crypto czar to control this. I have a lot of issues with government regulating cryptocurrency and their approach. And I think you're spot on when you talk about the difference between them actually providing helpful guidance that could help businesses grow and could help, investors and citizens in America, and then them just hiring more people to crack down on people who might not necessarily really understand the legalities around all of this, because we're still in a very vague position with understanding crypto and how it fits into all of these different institutions, because they all class it as completely different things, and it gets very confusing for people to try to work in this industry. But Adam, I'm going to throw this to you. Perhaps you have some things to add there.
Yeah, so as we were discussing with the last story, again, this is all about power. When you're looking at these types of appointments, effectively what you are seeing is the government, to the points that have been both made by Will and by Naomi. You're seeing the government say, we're not going to solve any kind of lack of clarity, which is very much what they exactly should be doing. Instead, what they're
Mhm.
doing is they're continuing to make high profile appointments of people who really aren't going to add any clarity to the situation at all. What they are going to do is they're going to continue to, in all likelihood, I believe, perpetuate the narratives that Bitcoin is something that's for criminals, that the ransomware stuff that we've seen recently is a reason to regulate it at the protocol level. Now, of course, these things are not possible to do, but that isn't actually what the point is. The point is that the narrative needs to turn, because, again, we're kind of trapped in this Streisand effect cycle with the government, where they can't ignore it. It's too big. It's too important. Too many people who are important to sort of the legacy financial system are interested in this stuff and are talking about it now in ways that they did not do in years past. At the same time, this has come when the reasons why you could argue against it, whether we're talking about from a green energy standpoint or we're talking about from a criminal utility standpoint, 0.022% by last measures, which compares very favorably against the traditional financial system. Again, what you
Right.
need is you need a way to talk about this without actually talking about it. And that is very much what this smells like to me. Jen, over to you.
Well, I just want some clarity from Zach. When I was reading the story, there's a quote in there from Michelle, and she was saying that she wants to steer the narrative in the way that Adam was just explaining. And is this not maybe one small step in the right direction if we want all of these things to change that all three of you have brought up?
I'm with Jen on this one. I don't think this is a doom and gloom power grab story. I think this is adding nuance to the regulatory stack over at FinCEN, right? So the acting director of FinCEN right now is a former Chainalysis guy, writing for the Department of Justice. Like they have some journals writing for them earlier this year. Michelle was very cognizant of the fact that crypto funding illicit activity is down as crypto being used for other mainstream purposes rises. So I see this as hopefully bringing a little bit of nuance to these discussions. You remember that FinCEN rule that was floated, I forget when, that caused a big uproar in the crypto community. I think you could reasonably interpret this as adding some nuance to that discussion. But hey, only time will tell. We shall see. All right, let's move
You're
on.
not nearly as jaded as Adam and myself.
Naomi, your
It's
face
about a
throughout
power
that
grab.
whole thing was like
Power. Me and Jen are like,
I was just
good.
like,
I'm
we're like,
with you, Jen.
maybe good
was in the
things will
middle.
happen.
I was in the middle.
It's good.
yeah,
Well,
adding more government appointees, maybe good things will happen. Yeah, that's
yeah,
that's
I mean,
gonna happen.
there's some good, like Hester. You
I
like your
can't say
Hester
anything or we're
stand.
gonna
I
go down
love
the rabbit
Hester.
hole.
All right,
See,
I love
you love
Hester.
see,
Brand
there are
Brooks
good
did
and there are bad.
things.
Not all
Yes.
bad.
There
We'll
it is.
see.
There it
We'll
is.
see.